we never thought it was going to be like super popular, but we crashed our website server because before like you would download the videos right from the website. We crashed it, and they're like plus tens of thousands of dollars because so many people downloaded it. It was insane.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is an original team member of Team Ryouko and a stuntman best known for his role as the lead stunt double in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Chris Mark. What's up, homie?
What's up, Trav? How's it going?
Dude, so surreal to finally talk to my brother from the north, man. It's crazy. How's everything in Canada right now? Are you guys locked down?
We're not locked down. I mean, there are restrictions, but in terms of like gyms, like our gym's allowed to be open right now, just with like modified restrictions, and film productions are starting up again now. So it's not bad. I think we're doing okay, considering.
That's cool, man. Jam's been closed for almost 7 months now, man. It's brutal.
Oh, that's crazy. Like I saw the post. I keep seeing the post, and I'm like, yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, it's all good, man. At least you guys are thriving. It looks like the school is beautiful as ever. Are you on the spring floor right now, or what part of the floor are you on?
This is our gymnastics sprung floor, and then we have our Tae Kwon Do floor behind us.
Super sick, man. See, I recognize it from all your training videos and stuff like that. And you know what's funny is I'm so glad that we reconnected. We just had Velu on the JAMCast a couple weeks ago, and he's the one that kind of brought up how he was inspired by the old Friday Night Madness videos. But I personally just got addicted to a show called The Boys on Amazon Prime. And I was watching it, and I saw you pop up as Blindspot. And I was like, dude, is Chris going to be a character in this series? This is so sick. And then,
I get clapped.
Yeah, not to spoil it for anyone, to spoil it, he gets killed super quick.
Yeah. Well, not killed. I mean, I get pretty disabled, but, who knows? There could be a comeback for Blindspot, You never know. Crazier things have happened.
That was super cool, man. And I was going to ask about that. How did you get cast for that? Because there's basically like a stunt acting part where you got to do a bunch of your own tricking and parkour and stuff like that. Did they cast you as a stunt guy and then have you audition for the acting role, or how did that work?
So what happened is within the script, the stunt coordinator said, oh, I know a guy who can do the acting part and he can do the stunts, so we don't have to get a stunt double. And then they sent me the audition, and I auditioned to put myself on tape, and then I got the role that way. So yeah, I really owe it to the stunt coordinator, because if he didn't put my name forward or give that suggestion, I probably wouldn't even got the breakdown to audition, or I didn't get the breakdown to audition. So
that's where it works out. That's super cool, man. And I've become like a huge fan of that show. Is that production completely filmed over up north there where you guys are at?
Yeah, for the most part it is, yeah. It's one of like the better TV shows filmed in Toronto, I would say. Like, there's a lot of good TV shows, but this is like, I think it's an awesome show. Like, it's really well done, and the story and the acting and everything is like top notch. So I don't usually watch stuff that, I don't know about you, but I don't usually watch stuff that I'm in. But like The Boys I watch because it's like, it's solid.
It's kind of funny you say that. I tell people that all the time. Like, of my IMDb credits, I've probably only seen a quarter of the entire productions. I'll maybe like fast forward to watch my scenes, but yeah, I don't watch anything that I'm in really. Yeah. Dude, so that's...
I think they're starting season 3 next year, so it's gonna keep going.
Hell yeah, such a dope show, man. And now with that being said, like, I mean, there's so much that we have to talk about here. What's crazy is that, like, looking back on, like I introed you as being like the lead stunt double on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, what blew me away is that movie came out 10 years ago, which is like insane to think about. Time is absolutely flying, man. And the reason why I bring it up is I saw some recent posts on your Instagram where you put up some old previs and things like that. But I think one of the things I didn't know that I was most blown away by was you had to get a prosthetic face in order to be the double on that movie?
Yeah, that movie was crazy. That was like, to this day, that's like one of my favorite projects to work on. And originally, we did a test shoot, like almost like a previs, but with the director and Brad Allen, who was the stunt coordinator. And I played Matthew Patel character in that previs. And Ruben Langdon played Scott Pilgrim in that previs. And so we did that fight scene concept as those characters. And then when production started, it just so happened we were having trouble finding someone thin enough to be Michael Cera's stunt double.
Totally.
Right? Even Ruben's a little bigger than Michael Cera. And I was quite thin at the time. And then I guess Brad got the idea of, well, maybe Chris can double Michael Cera, right? Because he has the style that they were looking for. And then through much talks and like talking to prosthetics, and they said, let's maybe try a prosthetic mask. They put the prosthetic mask on me. It was so creepy, but it was so well done. Like the first time they did it, it was so well done and so creepy. And and then it worked, so they went with it. So
that is
super lucky, yeah.
And how long of a process was that? Was that like a daily process of a couple hours, or how long did it take?
Yeah, it was I'd say it's about 2.5 hours to put on. And then it was like an hour and a half to take off at the end of the day. And it's like glued to like your entire face. It's not like it's just like on. They glue every like piece down to your face and color it in. And then when they take it off, they gotta like slowly unglue it to your face. It's really bad for your skin because it's like adhesives and things like that. But I wasn't even allowed to go out at lunch at first. They didn't want people to see me with the mask on. I was like hidden, like I don't know, like shamed, because in my trailer they'd like bring me food because they didn't want, I guess, they didn't want to see the stunt double, I guess, or that it was like that close of a match. So, but eventually they started letting me into like lunch and things like that. But yeah, people would freak out for sure.
That's crazy, man. And I personally don't do prosthetic jobs anymore because I hate it. But what was that one like, since you were literally doing like nonstop action? Like, was it like light enough that you could like do it, or were you just constantly pouring sweat inside of the mask?
I was definitely sweating a lot, but it was light enough that it wasn't like it's not like I couldn't breathe. Like I had a pretty good mouth hole, so it was more just the comfort. And then the more I sweat, then like little pieces would start to like peel off, and they would have to come in and glue it back in and things like that. But it wasn't bad. Like it was one of my first jobs, so I was young and I was like, yeah, I'll do whatever. Stick this on my face. I don't care. I just want to do this cool stuff.
And the one good thing about the prosthetic process is those 3.5 hours or 4 of putting it on most times put you in overtime.
Yes. So you usually start before everyone and then you finish at the very end. So that's another thing not to complain about. You get the overtime. But during Scott Pilgrim, actually, I don't know if you know, I actually doubled Ramona for a bunch of things too.
I do know that. I know that just from being a fan of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get dressed like a woman on the other time. So like half the time I was like a Muppet, which I called myself, and then the other times I was dressed like a female. So it was interesting show.
It's like super funny because like nowadays they consider it almost like controversial for guys to double females or to do like paint downs where you double another race, and you literally checked off both on the same movie.
Yeah, definitely is not going to fly these days, but back then I guess it was more accepted. But yeah. I totally agree though. Like I think at that time, even there was less of productions bringing people in from outside of town, right? So like the search was really Toronto and Canada. And within that search, it's harder. But what I find these days, especially on even shows that are happening now, they'll bring a lot more American performers or British performers in if they fit the role for their specialization. Right? So, which is cool. You get to meet a lot of talented people from all over the world.
Hell yeah. And I think one of the coolest things about it that you mentioned earlier is that you got to work with Brad Allen. And for those that don't know, Brad Allen is the first non-Chinese person on the Jackie Chan stunt team. And so he's a legend in our stunt comedian world. Choreographed movies like Kingsman, obviously Scott Pilgrim. He did Kick-Ass. Did you get to work with him before? I think you did work on Kick-Ass too also, right? Or was Scott Pilgrim the first major time you worked with him?
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim was the first major time, and then before that, I'd worked with him on some motion capture things done in Toronto, and that's how I first got introduced to him, and then he came for Scott Pilgrim, and we worked together. But yeah, working for Brad, it's intense, but it's great. Like I learned so much, not just from Brad, but from Hung, and they brought some China people in as well, and those stunt doubles were like amazing. But I really, really value my experience and my time working on that show with him. And I know, and we both know so many people that work with Brad, or even working with Brad right now, and the kind of stuff they come up with. It's just like, it's always next level, right? It's always like top level, the best.
Yeah, 100, bro. And I got to work with Pong on my first movie run as well. So like our exposure, we were like super blessed to be around like legends in the game, so to speak, in the fight choreo world from like early on in our careers. So super cool to look back on. What is your favorite scene in that movie? Because that movie is just, it's literally jam-packed with nonstop action. And that's why it still stands out as like an action movie in my mind 10 years later. What was personally your favorite one?
I liked, in terms of like a fight scene, I liked the hipster fight scene at the end, because it gave us an excuse to like get like trickers and like parkour people and to do a fight scene with them. And then we also had Damian Walters. I don't know if you know, Damian Walters is in that scene as well. They brought him over, so that was super cool. But yeah, I like that scene because originally I posted on my Instagram, we were supposed to do this massive one-shot 360 camera rig that like starts at the top and it circles, and it's like a guy on this rig spinning around with the camera, and it goes low. It's about like a minute long, and I'm like fighting all these hipsters with the fire sword. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that elaborate one, but we did like a shorter one just from a top shot. But just the prep and design of that, and being able to like add a bit into it as well, like some opinion and some style and some options. That was probably my favorite. But my favorite gag is definitely the window gag. I always see like memes of where she opens the door, it's like a Scott home, and then he runs, and then I run the other way and dive roll through the window. Yeah, that's probably the best gag for me on the show.
That's awesome, man. And what was the prep time on that movie with such intricate fight scenes? Did you guys do dedicated prep before the movie started, or was it one of those where you were just constantly prepping and rehearsing mid-shoot as well?
No, it was dedicated. I think we had 2 or 3 months of just prep.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was 3 months, and it's like locked down everything in those 3 months. And a lot of it's training actors because they wanted the actors to do a lot of it, which they did, which was really cool. But yeah, we did literally 3 months of fights like every week, and gags and different things, because there's so much action. There's so many fights in there. There's so much wire work in there. And the pre-visits was really important, because what was super cool is Edgar Wright, the director, used a lot of like pretty much matched the pre-visits shot for shot. Like they had it on the monitor when they're filming, and they would like do it exactly how Brad and Pung made it. And I think that's why like the fights came out so stylistically and like, so dynamic as well. So that, as you know, that's not always the case when you read this and then you watch it on TV or in the theaters. You're like, that's a little different.
I had a movie that just released that me and Jeff Amata stunt coordinated, and I assisted him on. And yeah, literally the movie came out, and our lead stunt double, Amy Johnson, texted me and goes, "I hope you saved all the previses because we need to release those so people can see what really went down." I'm like, it hurts my soul sometimes to see what ends up on the screen. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim was crazy. And then just last question I had, just because, I've always wondered about this. When you guys were doing some of those scenes, like at the end where you're fighting all the guys and there's so much VFX going on, were you using like a green screened weapon, or how did they do all that? Was it literally just a normal weapon they did in post, or did you have to do anything special?
So they had a sword that would light up, but it was only like half a hilt. So it was only like just a little bit, so that I would swing through them on all the things. And then after we did a take with the non-sword, they gave me the full sword, and I would more or less walk through it so that whoever's adding in the flame sword would know where the position of the sword goes, how it slices, right? Just kind of like as a reference.
Perfect. Okay, perfect, man. That is crazy. And now, like, of all the projects that you've done, do you think that one still is probably one of the favorite ones that sticks out in your mind over your career, or is there any other like highlight ones?
It's definitely one of my favorite ones. In terms of highlight ones, or like even like the toughest job I've done, where I got like beat up the most, was a film that me and my brother did. It's called Kill Order. It's like a lower budget action film, but and I was the lead in it. But that was like probably the most intense film I've done, just because, when you're lower budget, you don't have time for things like rehearsals sometimes, or like mats. And also, we could kind of design the fights however we wanted, and I fought a lot of the guys on our team. And that was a really rewarding experience because I got to fight with the Team 2X guys, and we kind of got to design the action all together. And then it was like our passion project, you know, like our baby. And yeah, that's one of my favorite experiences.
That's what we like to call a perfect segue, ladies and gentlemen, because I was literally going to bring up Kill Order next, because not only did you get to fight in it, but it's also like one of the first ones where you had like quote unquote like your acting debut. Like you were like one of the leads in it, obviously, and it was super cool because you guys, like you said, you not only started and choreographed it, but you and your brother produced it, right, under your guys' own 2X Entertainment Company.
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And what was the budget on that, if you don't mind me asking? How long did it take you guys to shoot the whole thing? And then how long did it take to actually get distribution, for lack of a better term?
Right. So it took a long time to shoot. Like we shot it in chunks, just because it wasn't the most organized project. So I think it took about a year and a half to shoot. Okay. Because we'd do like 3 weeks, and then stuff would happen, maybe run out of money or something. So then other people would go work on other things, then we'd come back and shoot the next part. So we did it in segments. I'm not sure exactly what the budget is, but I can tell you that it was double by the time we finished. But it was like necessary, you know, to get that first one out. Like it was definitely a struggle and a learning experience. But my brother's done 2 others since then, and each one's been better, right? So the hardest is just getting the first one out, and that's what he always says. Hardest is getting the first one done and out. Because even after filming, like filming's one thing, yeah, you can film it all. The real beast is the post. Yeah. Doing all the post, and that's where like expenses go up, and then you have to like get it mixed and this and that, and effects. We had a lot of like digital effects in it as well, a lot of wires and things like that. So yeah. I was proud that they got it done, and that, you know, we got it done and we got it distributed. And I actually get people that like, I don't know where it is. I think it's on Hulu or something, because people message me or send me pictures of it on Hulu, and I get a lot of like random people on Instagram being like, oh, when's Kill Order 2 coming out? And I'm like, where are you watching this? Like, it's not, I don't see it in Canada on anything, but like, I guess it's in the US, and it's in a bunch of Asian countries too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it did pretty good. Like it's, you know, it's a lower budget movie, but the action we're super happy with. Yeah.
Okay. And I think most recently, I don't know if you guys produced this one or not, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I just saw on your Instagram also, you guys were at like the Toronto Film Festival for a movie called Enhanced. What was your involvement in that movie?
So same thing. It's another project through our company, and it's kind of the sequel to Kill Order.
So there you go, guys. Go check out Kill Order and then watch Enhanced.
Enhanced is, it's not the direct sequel, but it's the same world, and like I play the same character. Yeah, it's the sequel to Kill Order. Similar world, similar powers, similar theme, just different characters.
Okay. And just from someone that's had the opportunity to obviously be in front of the camera as both a actor and a stunt double, which one do you prefer? Like, which one is your favorite, and which one would you do if you had the chance at all times?
Oh, actor, for sure.
And why is that? Is it?
I don't have to hesitate on that. My preference is actually acting and doing some action as well. That's my preference. But in terms of acting and stunt doubling, like I love to stunt perform. Like I did it for like so many years, and I still do it. But there's something about the performance of acting and doing characters, and you know, having like a deeper connection with the script or the storytelling of it, you know, that I just love. I don't know, I got hooked on acting maybe like 5-6 years ago, so I've been kind of going hardcore on that.
Hell yeah. That's super dope, dude. That's super cool. And just like a question that I just want to ask you, just because you're honestly the first person in our JAMCast guest so far that is actually a member of like the Canadian stunt performance world, and it's a thing that comes up so often to Americans that I feel like they would kill me if I didn't ask this question and stuff like that. So can you explain finally to our American audience the difference in pay structure in Canada as opposed to America? Because you've worked on American productions, you and I have worked on shows together, but obviously your primary base is back in Toronto. So can you finally just lay it out there in a easy way of how you guys get paid up front as opposed to like residuals on the back end and stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah, so our union's called ACTRA, and the U.S. unions SAG-AFTRA. And the way it works with us is very similar in terms of you have a day rate and you have a weekly rate. But we get called a buyout, a royalty, and you get it only on the days that you're on camera or scheduled to be on camera. And so they'll buy you out that day, depending on the show. Like a really low budget show might be like 50%. TV's usually 110 and movies are around 130. So they'll buy you out that percentage of what you made that day. And it includes everything. So it includes overtime and stunt adjustments as well. You get bought out on the whole thing. So yeah, it can be really nice. But we don't get residuals until after 5 or 7 years.
Okay. And now from someone that's worked on both sides, what do you think generates the most revenue? Do you like the buyout up front because it's guaranteed, whereas residuals is kind of a variable based on how much the production pulls in?
Yeah, I think it really. I think I prefer the buyout just because you're not like rolling the dice on like how the movie's gonna do, and also these days, just what I've heard from friends like yourself is that royalties are low, like what's going on with them because there's Netflix and there's new media and things like that. But like for example, like Hunger Games, right? I did Hunger Games, the first one, and I calculated like my residuals on that based on if I were to get bought out, and it was like residuals was way more, like it wasn't even comparable. Okay. Right? And things like when we did Kickin' It, like Kickin' It's been pretty good too. So I think it just depends. And also the other, because I know like a lot of my friends in the US, they always like, oh, you got buyout, blah blah blah, and they're like, we want buyout and all this stuff. The other thing is the day rate is lower for ACTRA than it is for SAG.
Oh, and how much considerably lower is it? Do you know offhand?
ACTRA's $780 a day, and I think SAG's $1,000. So.
Yeah, right now SAG is $1030 a day. So okay, so like $300 difference, I guess, right now. That makes sense. But again, that applies. The buyout only applies to on-camera performance days mid-production, right? It doesn't apply to prep days.
Doesn't apply to rehearsals. Doesn't apply to riggers or stunt coordinators as well, or fight coordinators, unless that's like part of their agreement. But yeah, it's just performers on camera.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna ask.
What do you like? What do you like better?
I've never had the chance to do the buyout system, but I'm very curious, just simply because, like you mentioned a little earlier, the residuals have gone down so much in the last decade. Like when I first started my career, like back in the days, or like when friends of ours did Pirates of the Caribbean, like these guys were buying houses off the residuals. Now, like you're stoked if you get a check that could like maybe be like a down payment on a car. You know what I'm saying? It's like totally different world now. But yeah, it's kind of a unique one. I guess like, grass is always greener on the other side, right? It's like.
True.
And with that being said, like, excuse my ignorance on this. I just want to ask just because I'm just not aware of it. But like in the UK, they have the stunt register where you have to accomplish a bunch of tasks and get certifications in order to become a member of the British Stunt Register. Is there any like same type of certification you need in Canada? Or is it like America where you can just be a stuntman?
Yeah, you can be a stuntman if you want. You want to be a stuntman, you can go ahead and be a stuntman. I like the UK. I heard there's also issues with the registry as well, but I like the idea that you have to be certified in certain things. I think that's cool. But it's not the case here.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's cool. Yeah. I just got to find a Canadian wife so I can get dual citizenship and go try out the buyout system.
Yeah, do it. It won't be hard. From LA, people love LA up here. It's like trendy, hot, fresh, right?
I love Canada, bro. I've had great times in Toronto and Vancouver. I just don't do winter, so I'd have to find a wife that'd be down to like switch in the wintertime and go back,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with, the winters are a little harsh in Canada, but like when I went to LA, because I stayed there for quite a bit, and I was like amazed by just the lifestyle. Right, I was staying in Santa Monica, and like the weather was just beautiful, like every day, all year round. And it was be like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to go to the beach, train? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's like Wednesday though. Like usually on Wednesdays in Toronto, I'm like, going to work or, at the gym or going like not at a beach in the ocean at Muscle Beach doing like pad kicking. It was just like beautiful. It's like such a nice lifestyle. I'm like, wow, that's why they call it La La Land. It's like fantasy land. Yeah.
It's definitely easy to get caught up in the Cali lifestyle out here, where you're like, oh, I'm not working, but like I'm somehow staying busy doing all this other stuff that doesn't necessarily generate revenue, but you feel like you're busy still. But yeah, man, the winners are real. I mean, this is kind of funny because you know about this production, Titans, which films up there up north. I've been Ryan Potter's stunt double for a good majority of his career, and he called me when he first booked the role as Beast Boy and was like, yo, man, I got called to go to Canada. They're trying to use a Canadian double, but I'm having my agents fight for you to come up. And I was like, yo, dog, it's in Canada. I was like, pick and choose your battles. It's too cold for me. I don't want to go. And he got highly offended on that. But I think, have you got the chance to double him, or who's doubling him up there?
Yeah, I've been doubling Ryan. Yeah,
it's that's pretty funny, man. Small world when you're all the same size and weight.
Well, it started from Super Ninjas, right? Like that's where it started. Because I remember I covered Steve Tirada, doubling him on Super Ninjas, and then I know you doubled him on Super Ninjas, and then I was up here, and then he came up here. Yeah, just small world.
It's so crazy. And then, like you mentioned earlier, we were both on a show called Kickin' It, which was like a Disney XD show. And I remember I just want to ask, because this is something that blew my mind, was I think you had to leave that show back then because you were having like an inner ear problem or something, right? Like what happened in that injury? Because I remember at one point, like you literally were like, I can't even like sit up straight. Like my equilibrium's off.
Yeah, that was rough. That was like the roughest. It wasn't really an injury, but the roughest symptom or illness that I kind of ever have dealt with. But yeah, I got an inner ear infection, and I just had like mad dizziness and lightheadedness, and I couldn't even like turn my head, or I would like get lightheaded, and it persisted for a long time, and eventually got the tools to get over it. Yeah. Okay. Like, to make a long story short, it turned into more of a psychophysiological issue. Oh. That makes sense. Really, really interesting how powerful the brain is, but almost like a recreation of symptoms based on negative thought patterns. I don't want to get too dark and deep on this, because I know we're talking about tricking, but I will just say that the mind is really powerful, and that experience, I was like obsessed with working at the time. Yeah, I was so ambitious, and I was in LA, and I was working on a show, and I just had my visa, and I was just like, I just wanted to work. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, I wanted to do this. And as soon as something interrupted it, kind of like threw my whole life at a whack. And from it, I kind of realized that there's way more important things than just work and making money, and that health, happiness, definitely should always come first. And just sometimes you just need to slow down and take a break. And that's exactly what happened. And it's actually, I look back at it in a positive way, because it was like a life lesson, and it's made me like stronger and smarter in the future. So.
Yeah, totally, man. I always tell people now, it took me a long time to realize it too, but health is wealth in our world, you know? It should be a universal principle, but especially in a world where we demand and utilize our body so much, like you have to take time off for both your physical and mental well-being. And it's cool that you learned that like really early on in your career, as opposed to later down the road, which I know happens to some other guys, and then it's almost like too late, or happens at a really disastrous time in their careers. So.
And also, like, the industry we work in as well, right? It's not like consistent or steady. It's not like you go to your job 9 to 5. You don't have that security, right? So that can also take a toll on mental health as well, right? Because there's always the unknown of like, when am I going to work again? Or, you know, who's going to hire me and things like that, right? So absolutely, 100% what you said. I totally agree. And I think it's really important for anyone that works in this industry, right? Especially actors, stunt people, that take care of your mental health just as much as we obsessively take care of our physical bodies, right?
Yeah, man. I think that's great advice. And it's something that's been coming up a lot more with people that we've had on the JAMCast, especially like people from our generation. Like we just had a talk with Rudy Rain on, and literally like I'd say 2/3 of the entire podcast was about like mental well-being and mental health. So I think it's a common theme that at least a lot of people in our generation are starting to grasp and put some value on. So I appreciate you sharing that, dude. That's super cool.
Yeah, no worries.
Hell yeah. And so obviously one of the things that we have to bring up now is your involvement in martial arts, because it's had such a huge impact upon your stunt career, obviously. I think you're are you fifth Dan in Taekwondo right now? Like what is your official ranking, and when did you officially start your journey in Taekwondo?
Yeah, I'm a fifth Dan in Taekwondo right now. I started Taekwondo when I was like 15 years ago, I would say. 15 years ago. But my main background before that was karate. Like I did karate first, and then I did Taekwondo.
Ah, okay. So I was curious because I know you have like a first degree black belt in karate also, right? So how old were you when you started karate, and how old were you when you like transitioned to Taekwondo?
I was 14 when I started karate.
Wow. Okay.
I started late martial arts.
That's why I said, wow. Personally, I thought you had done it way longer than that, man. That's pretty crazy. So you just jumped like right into the deep end. And how did you get into it? Is this something that you like voluntarily wanted to do? Was it like parental? Like, were you thrown in there by your parents? Like, how did you come about?
Yeah, so my brother James, he did karate before. He started it first, and I just wanted like another form of physical activity to do. And I played like sports before. I played soccer and some basketball and like badminton. But yeah, I just want something physical to do. So I started doing karate, and then I loved it. And I grew up in a really small town, so there was like one karate school. And my sensei was Sensei Dave Pearson. Okay. It's like up north, so that's like it's more Caucasian, I guess you could say, town. But he was a really good sensei, and I started competing, and then that's when I got hooked on martial arts, is through competition.
Of course. Okay. That's super cool. And how far into your martial arts career did you stumble upon tricking, and what was your first exposure to tricking that got you to want to start implementing jump kicks and obviously acrobatic off-axis moves?
Yeah, so I was 17 when I first started seeing videos on the internet. Okay. I saw Joe Ego, the sampler at Ryerson, which is a university in Toronto, and my mind was blown. Like, you never seen anything like that before. Like when he does the flash kick with the soccer ball, you know that old one where he's in the park and he like throws it up and he does a flash kick, goes flying. And you're like, what? He just did a backflip and a kick, and he kicked the ball. And then he was doing his crazy tumbling. And the most impressive thing about Joe is his height, right? And then through there, I just started finding more videos like loop kicks and Belang eventually. Pretty sure Belang was around. I used to watch those Belang samplers all the time. And I used to watch, 30 Seconds to Fame? Is that?
Yes.
Right? Is that Sideswipe?
That was Sideswipe. Steve Tirada was one of the guys on. I think Matt Mullins was on there too, right?
So it was Matt Mullins, Chris Tavera, and Steve Tirada. And that video was like such an inspiration because I remember seeing Chris Tavera's X out, and I was like, what? How did he kick his legs out so far? It was like, so good. And yeah, Steve Tirada, of course. I would watch his Nazca stuff, and then that's how I kind of got into more of like the open hand performance things.
No way. That is so cool to hear your inspirations and stuff, because obviously we're like the same age. So like a lot of those videos you're talking about, I can remember everything from those videos, even down to like what they're wearing in those videos and stuff. But what's so cool about it though is that like you are probably a member of a team that had like probably one of the most impactful videos to our community of anyone. And like we said, Velu recently brought it up on his JAMCast, and countless people have brought it up. And for those that don't know what we're talking about a little video series by the name of Friday Night Madness. And, if you haven't seen it before, we'll put it on the screen. Go look it up. But I believe there was 4 parts to it. But I think number 3 is the one that I most remember as being like the viral one that like popped off. But what was Team Ryouko? How did you guys come about? And like, what inspired those videos, man? Because like we said, you guys really helped inspire a generation.
Well, thank you. Yeah, those were the days. Those are like the best days. But Team Ryouko came around in Toronto. So what happened is, it's actually started with Joe Ego. My brother also was watching these videos, and Joe Ego was in Toronto. And so my brother went to Toronto to live there, and he went to that gym, Joeygo's gym, with the tumbling track. And at that gym was all these random characters and martial artists and people, which would soon become Team Ryouko. And they actually asked Joe to join Team Ryouko, and he didn't want to join. He wanted to do it, which is fine. He's like, oh, I don't want to do teams. So they're like, okay. So then, yeah, those group of people, Elon, the big guy, and my brother and Emerson, they formed a team. And originally some of the older guys wanted it to be a stunt team, and some of the other guys just wanted it to be like a performance team, live stage, which is what the majority of the things we did was live stage performances as Team Ryouko. And then I got introduced through my brother. I did some shows with them, and then eventually I became a full member. But my training, like a lot of the things I learned was from the different members of Ryouko. Because some people were like Tae Kwon Do, some people are gymnastics, some people are capoeira, some people kung fu. Elon was a bodybuilder. He helped me work out a couple times. Some people are breakdancing. But they all, and then some had experience in fight choreography. So I learned, I was like young, I was like 17 when I joined. So I was like a sponge. I was just like soaking up as much information as I could. And then watching videos, tricking videos, and trying like corkscrews. Remember Dean Alexandro?
Yes, bro.
Oh my God. That was my inspiration for trying a corkscrew when he does like his corkscrew. It was like, what is that? How does he do that? He did it in a Burger King. Oh my gosh, he's so cool. And then he ordered. Do you remember that? I feel like I'm so old.
No. I remember that, and I also, for some reason, the other sampler stands on my mind is the old Ben Brown sampler where he's doing like wall flips off the Ralph's truck and stuff like that. Those are two very inspirational samplers to my life. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And so, like, for those of us that have seen these videos, how many times a week were you guys meeting up at that gym collectively? And those videos, were they literally just one Friday night session each video?
Yeah, they were. So we would go to that gym about maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, and it started getting popular. And like more people wanted to come and learn. And it's just an open gym, so like we just do whatever. And we would invite our breakdancing friends as well, because we're doing like shows with breakdancing friends. And then just some nights we'd be like, oh, we want to make a video, right? It started with Friday Night Madness 1, then 2, and then 3, which was like the dopest one. That was sweet. And we would just film different things, random things. And we never thought it was going to be like super popular, but we crashed our website server, because before like you would download the videos right from the website. We crashed it. And they're like, plus tens of thousands of dollars, because so many people downloaded it. It was insane. We're like, no, we're not paying that. We don't know. Like, it just got so popular, and like everyone's downloading it. My brother edited that video.
No way. That is pretty legendary, dude. That is crazy. And for those that are listening, they're probably like, what are you talking about? You owe tens of thousands of dollars. This is pre-YouTube, guys. Like this was so old school. Like you had to like seek it out. Yeah, man. It was almost like a pain in the ass in order to like put videos up back in the day. Whereas now it's like you could upload from your phone and it's shared around the world.
Everyone can watch it.
That is so crazy, man.
I think what like made our team like popular in our videos is not like we weren't doing like the craziest things. Like we do some crazy stuff, but we weren't like, our main goal wasn't like pushing the tricking level or anything like that. But we had so many different kind of characters on our team. You know what I mean? And different styles. There's like a true like group of a variety of people. Because some people loved Elon, the big guy.
Yeah, totally.
Loved him because they like people like Juji Mufu.
Yep.
Yeah. For some reason, people just like massive guys doing tricks. But that's where I think a lot of the popularity came from. And Velu said it too. He said like, oh, they just look like a bunch of guys that were like having fun, and like this is what a training session should be. And that's exactly what it was. Like that's what we would do. We just think of dumb things like, oh, my brother's gonna run up this wall and everyone else do a wall flip at the same time, and just random stuff. It's so much fun.
Yeah, man. More than anything, like personally, when I saw it, it was just like, damn, I really wish I had a community like that myself to train them, because I was just training by myself back in the days, and I was just so envious that you guys had a collective group of people that just looked like they were pushing each other in all kinds of aspects. So unique to back in the days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know what blew my mind when I was watching some of them just before our interview was I didn't realize that Brian Ho was in Friday Night Madness 4. And for those who don't know who I'm talking about, Brian Ho is a very successful, established stuntman from Canada and who works in America as well. And I saw young Brian Ho and I was like, holy crap, Brian was in this? I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, because Brian was one of the first people I watched too. He had like samplers on the Lang. He was one of the first people in Canada doing, I think he was one of the first person in Canada to do a double B twist. So he was an inspiration. And then we met with him, and now I see him all the time. He's a coordinator on Titans, actually.
Yep, it's so surreal.
But yeah, he came over and we did that video, and yeah, now we're good friends. It's cool. It's cool how like this all connects people. You know what I mean? And then how careers kind of go in like the same direction. Like, you know, people that you tricked with or just even trained with, and now you're both working in the film industry and you're working together on set. It's like super cool.
Totally, man. I mean, like I said, I grew up watching that sampler as well. And then I got the chance to work with you on a TV show. And I was like, this is crazy. And now, like, almost a decade later, we're sitting here chatting as friends on a JAMCast. And it's just so insane how the world is so small. I remember watching Nice videos back in the day, like, I hope I can meet that guy one time. And then it ended up living with me. I'm like, this world is too crazy, you know? Like, it's so small when you really consider it, you know? So absolutely insane, man. And with that being said, like, obviously I'd be remiss to not ask about this as you're sitting in the Ryoku martial arts studio right now. How long ago did you open your studio?
So we've been here for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I never wanted to own a school. I don't know about you, but I didn't want to really. But I had a program called XSD,
yes.
And it's kind of similar to like XMA in a way. It's like open hand and tricking and forms and things like that. And I would teach that program in different schools in Toronto. So I would teach their instructors how to teach it. Kind of like, I guess, how I think XMA kind of did something like that too, right? Anyway, so I had it in this school. It was an existing Tae Kwon Do school, and the owner was leaving. And he's like, hey, I'm leaving. If you know anyone that wants to buy it, let me know. And I thought, oh, this might be a good opportunity because I already know people here. I already have the program. I already have students. So it just kind of made sense. And yeah, it's worked out. I love this place. Like, we train here in the daytime all the time, and then we have classes at night. We do like rehearsals and pre-visits and things in here as well. It's been like super amazing.
That's super cool. And like how, I mean, you obviously just mentioned that you train in there during the daytime, but I was going to ask, just as someone that works in the entertainment industry, as well as balancing owning a studio, which is kind of unique. We're probably a couple of the few that do that. Most of our friends are either dedicated martial arts instructors, you know what I'm saying, or stunt performers. How many days a week do you find yourself there yourself? And do you still instruct classes, or do you have like instructors that take over all that?
So I have instructors that can teach all the classes, but I'll try to teach right now, like once a week I'll come in, and then the other days I'll just come in and do work or do things. But my main priority is film, so I'd like to have this place set up so that I can pursue film and do jobs, kind of like yourself, and then it can still kind of run as it goes, right?
That's super dope, dude. And what is the majority of your clientele? Do you guys focus mostly on kids programs or adult programs, or do you find like a pretty good split between the two?
Yeah, I would say majority kids. Okay. We have some adults, but majority is kids. And Tae Kwon Do is like our main style, and then we offer the XSD program as well. And so we encourage our students to do both programs so that they can kind of have a hybrid training. And yeah, a lot of them do both programs, so it's been good. It's been challenging though, of course, with COVID and the new rules. You can see like I have like squares taped off on the floor, so it's like you have to stay in your square as you do class, and everyone's spaced out. But luckily we have a really big place, so we can kind of fit a decent sized class in here.
That's super cool. And how many days a week do you personally get to train nowadays? As you know, for lack of a better term, we're starting to become the older guys. How many days a week do you still get to train?
Well, before COVID, I was training like maybe 2 days a week, like martial arts stuff, and then like a couple days a week working out. But now, not much right now. Maybe like 1 day a week. but I go through phases, right? Like, I don't know about you, but like sometimes I get like not addicted, but like into like one certain thing. So like I was really into like doing pad working and like kind of like trapping and different choreo pad work. I don't know if you've seen my Instagram videos, but I used to do these like choreo pad working combinations, and I was just like super obsessed with that. So I was just doing that for a while, and now I'm doing a lot of Tae Kwon Do just because it's readily available for me. Yeah, I got to get back into it though. I'm glad you said that because I need to start. I haven't tricked in a long time, to be honest. I haven't even like flipped in a long time, to be honest. But I'm gonna get back into it. Yeah, get back training.
That's super
Thank
cool.
you. You've inspired me by just asking that question.
Just stay safe, man, because I got really inspired this summer because we had so much free time because of COVID shutting down our industry that I got addicted back into parkour because of a friend of mine. And I totally broke myself off like 2 months ago. So just be safe, dog. Just pace yourself.
Yes. Good advice.
Hell yeah, man. And then just like a kind of like a last question, just for someone that's had a successful martial arts school for so many years and stuff like that. What advice would you give to someone that's interested in starting their own school, or someone that already has like an existing school? What do you think is like a key to success in order to maintain such a mark in the community and continue to run?
In these times, or just in general?
Let's do both if you can.
Okay, so in general, I mean, if you're really passionate about martial arts and about like opening a school and teaching what you know, like if you want to be the main instructor, I like highly recommend either getting some sort of business partner or business advice if you don't have that background. I find like that's probably one of the hardest things that martial artists have to overcome, or like to help their business be like successful. But I think that it's obviously super important, right? Like it's great to be able to teach and share your knowledge and provide the space, but at the same time, you know, it is a business, so certain things has to be run a certain way in order to survive, right? And in COVID times right now, it's a tricky one, right? Like I've had, not to be a downer, but like I've had friends that had to close down their martial arts schools and things like that. I found what really helped our school is I made a video, like a safety video, that just kind of like shows exactly how you come in and check in and where we train and the distancing and the, you know, cleaning in between. And that helped ease a lot of parents' minds and things like that. But at the same time, like kids need to exercise, right? Kids, not just kids, everyone needs to exercise. Like it's such an important, you know, part of life. Part of living, right? So there are people that want to do it, and as long as you provide a safe environment with quality instructions, and you know, I think that's the most important thing.
Oh yeah. No,
I don't know. I'm not good at giving a business savvy talk, but no. It also kind of depends on like where you are, you know, what kind of area you're living in. Like what kind of street presence you have in terms of like walk-ins and things like that, like on the business side. But you probably could give some really good advice.
No, man.
Jam is amazing. Oh my, I love training there. Even White Lotus, like same thing. When I went to White Lotus, I was like, oh my gosh, this is White Lotus. I've seen all the videos in here. And then when I go to Jam, I'm like, yeah, Jam. It's so good.
I appreciate that, man. No, I think what your advice that you said was super crucial, which is like the majority of us that venture into these, you know, ventures of opening studios, we're really good physically, but not necessarily everyone has a background in business. So I think the tip that you gave of finding an investor or finding someone that's very business minded is probably one of the most beneficial things, you know, because at the root of it all, it's a business. It's not just a passion project. Otherwise, you're going to end up losing more money than you take in. And then we all know how that goes. So, yeah. I think you nailed it, Doug. Perfect advice.
All right, sweet, good.
Oh yeah, man. And now, you know, before we get out of here, this is a question that I kind of ask everyone. If anyone's seen the episodes, they know this is my finale question, and I'm just curious to see what you're gonna say. Which is, where do you personally see yourself 5 years from now, and where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
5 years from now, I see myself in the same industry for sure, in film, and my goal is to be creating consistently films with our 2X Entertainment company and be acting and producing films, action films, and just continuing to try to create cool content, cool fights, and entertain people. And in 10 years, so I'll be doing the same thing. Except I'll have stunt doubles doing some things for me. But definitely acting is my goal. Like, you know, in 5 years, I want to be acting, whether it's action acting or just regular acting. And in 10 years, I want to be acting as well. And then maybe past that, I might get into other things, you know, behind the camera. But for now, performing is what I'm about.
Hell yeah, man. No, that's super cool. And I've always been a big fan and follower of your movement and works of art. So I very much look forward to the next 5 or 10 years. And hopefully, as the world continues to change, we're starting to see more and more Asians on screen and ethnicities that have opened up. And so who knows, man, maybe, you know, 10 years from now, I'll get the chance to be coordinating a show that you're an actor on. That'd be ideal. That'd be super full circle.
That would be awesome.
I would hire Jake Wong or someone to be your stunt double and just wreck him all the time. That'd be the coolest, is to hire a buddy of ours and have them double you and just send him through the ringer nonstop.
Like, Chris could probably do this one. Nah, it's okay. You can do it, Jake.
I feel like Chris is an actor now. He doesn't do anything else, you know. Only the close-ups, guys. Only the close-ups. That's cool, man. Well, yo, more than anything, man, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come sit here and do this. And more than anything, I appreciate the years of friendship. It's absolutely surreal for me to look back on how many years ago Kickin' It was, and even more so how many years ago Friday Night Madness was something that was a huge inspiration in my life, man. So on behalf of myself and the community, dude, thanks so much for coming through. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor. I love your podcast. I was so honored when you asked me to be on it, truly.
It's like the one good thing that came out of COVID is that we expanded to non-in-person guests, man. So that's one blessing in disguise, you know?
For sure.
Hell yeah. So before we get out of here, man, can you just let the people know how they can stay up to date with you and continue to follow your journey? And if you want to shout out the studio as well, just let us know where they can look it up.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's ChrisMark2X. And my school is Ryouko Martial Arts. You can follow that as well. It's at Ryouko Martial Arts.
Hell yeah. Perfect. And guys, don't forget, go check out Enhanced if you get a chance.
Yes, and check out Enhanced. It's not out yet, but it should be out the beginning of next year.
Perfect. So then watch Kill Order in the meantime.
Kill Order, get set up for the sequel, and you'll be good to go. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, again, dude, thank you so much. And let us know when it comes out. I'll shout you guys out online, and we'll get people to try to generate some traffic over on behalf of the community. Perfect,
man. I appreciate it. Thanks again. Really appreciate this. It's good talking to you.
Same to you, brother. Hopefully I'll see you soon when the world's back to normal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yo, guys, with that being said, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for a brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Chris Mark himself. So with that being said, guys, I had to give one more special shout out to our guest this week, Mr. Chris Mark. Thanks for coming through, homie.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And as always, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.